Hey guys, I'm back. If you've been following my videos from the beginning, then you may remember me mentioning something about how after I graduate, I plan on making a bunch more videos.
So yeah, be looking out for more content because I'm planning on still making more even after classes are done.
Well, obviously that didn't happen, but one of my goals for 2021 was to start up the channel again and start making videos because I actually really did enjoy making videos. More specifically, one of the goals that I have for 2021 coincides with my best friend Madeline's. We decided that we wanted to watch one movie every month that was like historically significant somehow. And for the most part, we're going to be watching movies that we haven't seen before. There might be a few that we've seen before, but they're ones that we want to talk about. So it should be fun. So if you've seen any of her videos, which if you haven't, you definitely should because they're really good, you can tell that, we make very different content, which is great.
It was great!
Because that means that then if you watch both of our videos, you'll be getting very different videos from the both of us because she'll be making videos more so like traditional video essays talking about like the structure of the movies and the history behind them and things like that. And I'm gonna make commentary videos about them. So yeah, I hope you enjoy them, I guess. Anyway, as you can probably guess, the movie that we watched for January was the 1952 film Singin' in the Rain. I want to preface this by saying that I didn't entirely hate this movie, and there were a lot of parts that I really enjoyed and that were very entertaining to me. I don't know if that's because I like older movies or I like, musical movies, but even though there were parts of it that I really liked, there are things that I want to talk about. One other thing I want to say before we get started is that I haven't seen this movie before, so this was my first time watching it, and I didn't really know what to expect. So the movie starts out with a film premiere. There's all these people waiting outside, waiting for like the celebrities of the movie to like show up, and there's some woman standing there with a microphone, like, introducing people. It takes place during, like, the silent film era, and so people are, like, super excited, and this is how they introduce the main characters of the film. Some of the main characters, anyway. Although the first actress who shows up is, I believe her name's Zelda. It was hard to tell with this man screaming. But yeah, she's never really mentioned again. I think she's mentioned like one other time in the movie and like that's it. So I don't know why we're so excited for Zelda, but we sure are. So after Zelda arrives, then we get introduced to two of the main characters, Don Lockwood and Lena Lamont, who often we find out star in movies together. So the production company actually like pairs them together and makes them seem like a couple for like publicity purposes because they want more people to see the movies. But you can tell that like Don is very annoyed by Lena. So then the woman who's standing there introducing everybody as they're showing up, she asks Don to like tell his life story, and everyone in like the audience, it's not an audience because they're outside, but everyone outside is like really excited, they want to hear. And so he kind of tells this story, like a fabricated version of his life to make it sound better, and you learn about him and his best friend Cosmo, who is also there but didn't end up becoming as famous as Don did, which I thought you were supposed to feel bad for him about. Like, I felt bad for him that his best friend is the one who's like getting all this fame and then he just has to sit there and watch, but it's never really mentioned again and he seems like he's okay with it. So apparently I thought that for no reason. But anyway, so he talks about how they grew up from, being very young kids, always entertaining people all the way through. And while watching that, I noticed that apparently I want to dress like a little boy from the 1910s or 1920s. Then after the premiere, Don and Cosmo are like driving home. Cosmo's car breaks down because he's not rich and famous. They stop and all these fans are like coming at Don and they're like ripping his clothes and stuff. And he, in order to get away, does a bunch of like climbing on a bus and whatever, and he falls in Debbie Reynolds' car. So she's the other main character. Her name's Kathy, but it's Debbie Reynolds. And
lady, keep driving. They're after me. Everything's all right. Just keep going.
I'm not gonna lie, like, that was probably the most genuine thing in the entire movie because that is exactly how I would react if a man suddenly jumped into my car while I was driving it. Like, horrifying. And I will say that, like, this whole scene where he's, like, in her car and she's driving him around, she doesn't know who he is right away, and then she, like, is, like, pushing him off, and he's like, hey, you're really hot, and she's like, no, leave me alone. It felt very Leia and Han. Like, you could definitely see where Carrie Fisher gets her spunk from or whatever, you know. Anyway, so there's like an after party after the premiere of their movie, and Kathy shows up there as like a dancer because apparently that's the kind of party that it was, where they had like dancers for the people at the party. And Don keeps following her because he wants to talk to her or whatever, and he's a man, so he thinks that he can. And he keeps persisting until finally Kathy picks up a cake and throws it at his face, except she misses and ends up throwing the cake into Lena's face. And that's how the writers decided to establish like the rivalry between Lena and Kathy. So anyway, Kathy runs away after that, and then I think they said for like 3 weeks Don is like thinking about her and he can't find her anywhere. He's like been looking for her and he can't find her. And so Cosmo's talking to him. They're just like on set or whatever. And he goes into this like really long musical number that's like really vaudevillian and like super out there and stuff. And I'm not gonna lie, it was like really fun to watch. He had so much like energy that I don't honestly think I could ever do that. Like, he's super talented. So watching him do some of the things that he was doing, I realized that even though I hadn't watched this movie as a kid, things like it really affected me when my sisters and I would make little short films. I even specifically remember making a short film, and I'll see if I can find it, where we do something very similar with like when Cosmo's like fighting the little dummy behind the couch. We do something very similar where like I'm standing up and fighting, and I'll see if I can find the clip, but it's cute. This movie actually takes place during a time in the film industry when sound was being first introduced as like a synchronous thing with the movie. So you kind of get to see the characters trying to figure out how to navigate that, not just the main characters, but also like directors and producers. You can see how frustrated people can get and how they are trying to figure out what to do with the microphone, and I just think that's really cool. You've got a scene where some guy's tripping over a cord and he's like, well, this is dangerous, what is this doing here? And then you've got scenes where they're filming misogynistic songs. So, you know, it's a little bit of everything, a little something for everybody. What is this? So finally, Kathy like shows up on the set somehow, and Don is like, oh my god, this is the girl, here she is. So he like goes up to her and talks to her and tells her that he can't stop thinking about her, and then he finds out that she does actually like know who he is, and she's watched a lot of his movies. And so he takes her into this like empty soundstage and just like randomly starts serenading her, which I have to say is like really awkward to me. Like, I know it's a musical and I know that's like a convention of musicals and movie musicals, like I'm aware, but it just, the thought of being in that moment where a guy's like, here, stand on this like ladder and like I'm just gonna like sing at you and like sing to you my feelings. Like, it was just so weird to me. I don't know. But she seemed to like it. She was like into it. So I think they start like secretly dating after that. Then there's a screening for the new movie that Don and Lena are in that like has sound. It didn't go over well with the audience. They were laughing, and Don literally thought that his life was over. Like, he's like, well, I'm gonna have to sell my house now. And eventually his friends convinced him that night. They were like, well, why don't you just make the movie a musical? And he's like, oh yeah, I could do that, because for some reason just the main character of a movie can change the genre of the movie and suddenly add all this music to it, and everyone's just okay with it because he's like the leading man. I don't know. Anyway, so they have this whole like musical number where they're like, let's make it I don't remember what song it is. Oh, they're singing like Good Morning or whatever, and they're like, yeah, we can do it, we can make it a musical. And then they're all sitting there, and Cosmo has this really good line because he's like, well, maybe we can't do it.
She can't act, she can't sing, and she can't dance. A triple threat. Yeah.
And I love Cosmo so much. But anyway, so they come up with this like ingenious plan where Kathy's gonna just dub over everything that Lena says and like everything that she sings, but we're not gonna tell Lena, and it'll be fine. So they're all cool with that plan. I think Don drives Kathy home or walks her home or something. I don't know, but they're in the rain. Then he leaves and he sings like the iconic song Singin' in the Rain. And I'm not gonna lie, it seemed like really out of place. I just feel like even though this is a movie musical, it's different from other musicals that I've seen where like the songs are just so out of like sync with like the flow of the plot. It just felt a little weird. It was almost as weird as when me and some of my friends in 5th grade were like recruited by the principal to do some weird performance to this song for an assembly.
Let the stormy clouds chase everyone from the place. Come on with the rain, I've a smile on my face.
But maybe not as weird as the time when Madeline and I tried to choreograph a dance number to this song. Anyway, so like an hour and a half into the movie, I think the writers realized that they needed a villain. And so they're like, okay, well, we'll have Lena find out. Actually, Zelda's the one who told her. So Zelda ends up telling Lena that Kathy is dubbing over all of her like lines and singing. And so she shows up and she's like pissed, you know, for good reason, because they're recording over what she's doing and they weren't going to tell her about it. And she finds, like, I would be upset by that, you know. She goes into the producer's office the next day and she like threatens to sue him. And she ends up demanding that Kathy dubs over her voice forever, and that Kathy doesn't get any credit for it, so that everyone just thinks that that's Lena's voice for the rest of her career. And I'm not like condoning what she did. Don't think that that was necessarily the right thing to do, but what I will say is that it feels very like Sharpay Evans, where the writers of the movie take this annoying blonde girl and just like completely screw her over and make everybody hate her just because she's trying to live her life. There's this big, long, huge, like 10-minute chunk of musical number, again, that just really doesn't fit. This movie is the weirdest musical movie I've ever seen. It just, why was there a 10-minute chunk? I don't even know if it was 10 minutes. It was really long. Of just sitting there watching them. They weren't even like singing, they were just dancing for so long, and I didn't understand. And then at the end he's just like, yeah, so that's my pitch for this. And the producer goes, I can't really visualize it. You'll just have to do it. He apparently couldn't see what I could see. But anyway, so then they premiere this movie, the musical movie that they made very last minute, and the audience loves it, of course. You know, they're just applauding, and apparently they're no longer laughing and thinking that it sucks because it's a musical this time, so everybody loves it. So then Don and Lena come out for their like curtain call. They're bowing, everyone's like applauding, they love it, it's a musical, wow. And Lena goes back out and she gives like this speech and she's like so grateful for all the support and whatever. And the audience is like, come on, just, we want to hear you sing, because her voice doesn't sound the same, obviously. So she runs backstage and all the men are like, yeah, go out there and sing. And she's like, well, I can't do that. And so they're like, okay, Kathy, go behind a curtain, sing into this microphone, and then Lena will just like lip sync it and it'll be fine. And Kathy's like, I don't want to do that. And then Don's like, do it. This is a great reenactment. And Don's like, do it. And Kathy's like, okay, well, I'm never going to talk to you again then. Which I think is understandable because she didn't want to do it. Why is he forcing her to do it? Like, great boyfriend. So she goes out, she's behind the curtain, she starts singing. And then the stupid men pull the curtain so that you can see that Kathy's the one singing and it's not Lena, thereby completely humiliating Lena in front of like all these people who are like supposedly her fans, and then they see that Kathy's the one who's been singing the whole time. So they both get embarrassed, like clearly for obvious reasons. And Kathy like runs into the audience and she's crying, she's so upset. Then Don runs on the stage and he's like, it's Kathy, she's the one who's been like, she's like the star, she's been the star this whole time. And then starts like serenading her again while she's crying, standing in the audience around all these people who aren't like letting her out. And then she turns around, I thought she was gonna like slap him or something, but she started singing back. And then it just like faded to this shot of them standing in front of a billboard where their faces were on the billboard, and then that was the end. So I'm a little confused. I'm not really sure what the moral of the story is supposed to be, because like the first half of the movie I thought I got it. You know, I was like, okay, this is cute, this is fun. Then the second half of the movie got weird. It got dancey and really musically in a weird way. But maybe that's what people liked back then. I don't know. But even still, like, the only moral that I can possibly come up with is that it's okay to screw people over as long as you're doing it for love, and the person that you love is more talented than the person you're screwing over. So if I got it right, then thank you, Gene Kelly, for that. Well, anyway, that's all I got for you today. If you liked the video, please give it a like. Or, you know, if you've seen the movie and you have different opinions or the same opinions, or you just want to talk about it, put a comment below and, you know, we can have a conversation because that's fun. I like doing that. That sounded sarcastic, but I was serious. And then too, if you want to see more videos, you can subscribe so you can find out when I make more videos, because I do plan on making more because this has been a lot of fun so far. And then also check out Madeline's videos. I'm gonna put a link in the description for her videos about Singing in the Rain. She's actually got two. She's got the video essay, and then she also recreated Kathy's hairstyle like on herself with like no tools. Like, it was really cool. So check those out as well. And then yeah, if you want to read my review of this movie or any movies that I've watched, you can follow me on Letterboxd at Gabby Elliott, because I can't for some reason change that username. Other than that, you can follow me on Instagram and Twitter at Gabrielle E. Dean. Alright, that's all I got. So see you next time. Struggling. Alright, I'm done. I think we're good.